Joseph, what's wrong? I thought you loved the carnival.
I do, but I was kind of hoping for a clown fiesta.
Huh, have I got something to show you? Okay. We're here.
Hey everybody, Joseph Rothschild here, aka MBT, back again with another episode of 10-Minute Testing. It's been a long, exciting week of very few hours of sleep and even fewer synapses firing. As a result, I really only have the capacity right now to play a deck full of normal monsters, and after an extremely surprising OCG top, I finally have an excuse to do so. Welcome to the Giant Ballpark. So here's the list, and I have never seen a better analogy for missionary sex with the lights off than this vanilla monstrosity. As always, I'll give you a background about the archetype, a little bit of a discussion about what I hope the deck can do, and as always, the card by card. So firstly, for those of you that don't know, Giant Ballpark is a true patrician's deck for only the most intelligent of my subscribers. Like its sister deck, Pacifist Control, and its cousin no one wants to talk to at family gatherings deck, Mystic Mine, this deck is entirely held together by the glue of a single field spell with way too much text on it. GBP does one relevant thing. In damage calculation, you can prevent any player from taking the damage they would have, then send a level 4 or lower insect monster from your deck to the graveyard. If that monster is a normal one, you can summon as many copies as possible of that card from your hand, deck, or graveyard. It's like they say, everybody gangster till the neo-bugs hit the field. Additionally, if they squash your insects, you can summon one back from the graveyard, but let's be honest, if they're using removal on Insect Knight, you've probably already won. Discounting our ballpark searchers, we filled the remainder of our deck with as many cards that minus us as we can justify. Hand traps to force our opponents onto suboptimal board states, Twin Twister to prompt those pesky mystical space typhoons, and Super Poly to turn our opponent's advantage into our own. Pro tip. You don't care about discarding cards if you're not playing any good ones in the first place. Hopefully, we'll be able to use our suite of blind second solutions to swarm our side of the field in the damage step, safe from our opponent's spells. So with that, let's get into the card by card. Firstly, our Vanilla Vermin. We're on 3 Insect Knight and 3 Neo Bug. That's not a joke, since we don't have access to Shining Black Ranger C, the second best normal insect in the game is this one. After that is Goki Pole, honorary normal monster, and the only effect insect worth sending off of Ballpark. When this card is sent to the graveyard, it searches a vanilla, special summons it, and then allows you to destroy a card with equal or greater attack, all in the damage step if you so desire. After that is 3 Mathematician to send the Pole, 3 Pankratops since we're blind seconding, and a hand trap lineup of 3 Ash Blossom Enjoy Spring and 3 Phantasm Dragon Phantasmaze. For spells, we're on Harbinger of Jank, Pot of Extravagance, 3 Giant Ballpark, 2 Terraforming, 3 Twin Twister, 2 of the secret win condition, Super Polymerization, Foolish Burial, and a trap lineup of 3 Metaverse, a Skill Drain, and a Solemn Judgment for a reason I can't elucidate. The extra is a Super Poly and Extravagance board with 3 Violet Chimera, 3 Starving Venom, 3 Mud Dragon, 3 Phoenix, and 3 Cowboy to close out games after 4 insect attacks fall just a little bit short. Importantly, if you're looking to play this with a budget in mind post-RIRA, Tenyi Vishuddha is an easy substitute for Phantasmaze alongside 3 of the non-effect Tenyi over Phoenix in the extra. You'll see this build in some of the matches. Let's jump there now. Our first match is up against Endymion, a deck that I've heard bricks but have never seen with my own eyes. We are going second and we have just the hand to do so, 2 copies of Super Polymerization, an Ash Blossom, a Pankratops, and the best card in our deck, Terraforming. Let's see how far our opponent can get. They're going to start with a copy of Magical Citadel of Endymion and a Foolish Burial for a Dark Worm. Thankfully, they already have the 0 in hand. They'll activate Spell Power Control, we'll activate Ash, and I feel like we're out of the woods until I see the Pot of Desires. They rip a card they can normal summon, so they'll go into a copy of Electromite. They'll then set a copy of Servant, and then set 0, popping it to get Servant back to hand and drawing a card. They'll activate Upstart, and they draw, oh my goodness, a Master Cerberus. That's going to turn into a copy of Jackal. They will set 2 Scales, then Pendulum summon both this copy of Jackal as well as 2 copies of Darkworm, which will inevitably become a rank 4. They'll activate the effect of Servant to get a copy of Endymion from deck, and of course prep for a second Endymion activation in the Pendulum Zone next turn. They go into a Cairngorgon, and we could be able to win this. We'll go into a Starving Venom Fusion Dragon first to get the negate off their side of the field before special summoning a copy of Pankratops and setting a Giant Ballpark. In battle phase, we'll do a fair amount of damage over the Electromite and negate the damage off of the Cairngorgon attack for a bunch of Insect Knights. We'll pop this copy of Servant, it'll go to scale in response, and this is actually lethal! Oh god! Well, that's interesting. At the very least, Endymion is a competent strategy, so very happy we're taking games off of it. Our second match is up against DDD, but don't worry, dear viewer, this is a good deck. Our opponent is playing Gilgamesh, the currently OCG exclusive Link monster that just lets you set scales for free. They're going first, so let's see what they can whip up. They'll start with a copy of Dark Contract with the Gate, adding a copy of Copernicus to hand. They'll normal summon this copy of Copernicus, sending a Vice Typhoon, followed by a 1-for-1 for a Savant Kepler. That's going to add another Dark Contract to hand, followed by a Link summon of Gilgamesh. We have Phantasmazay, but they have Ash Blossom. That's upsetting. It allows them to set both Thomas and Ragnarok. They will activate the effect of Thomas, then banish the card they added in order to activate Allure. They'll bring back Lemina, and then use the effect of Ragnarok to bring back Vice Typhoon, before special summoning a copy of Orthos and ending on Siegfried and Big Genghis. Now, we can't access Giant Ballpark, but we can probably still OTK. We'll normal summon a copy of Goki Pole and activate its effect in damage calculations. We can special summon a copy of Insect Knight and destroy Big Genghis before attacking directly for 5,600 points of damage with our super polymerized Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, and killing our opponent in their standby phase with their own Dark Contract. Well, kind of puzzled by the results so far, but our third game is upon us, a best-of-3 versus meta against Salamangreat. This should be the ultimate test of this deck's prowess. Will its blind second tools be able to overcome a deck that can consistently make 2 to 3 negates? Let's find out. Our opponent is going to lead with a copy of Salamangreat Foxy, and off the top they find Gazelle. Every time. Next, they'll go into a copy of Balinx, triggering the hand effect of Gazelle and the field effect of Balinx, using Gazelle to send a copy of Roar, then activating Salamangreat Circle for a foul. They'll special summon their Crusadia before going to Mirage Stalio, triggering the hand effect of Roar, and special summoning a Jack Jaguar from deck. They'll use its effect, returning this copy of Foxy in order to trigger the effect of Sunlight Wolf to get Gazelle back to hand, then triggering the Grave effect of Roar via Reincarnation Summon, returning the Circle to hand and setting it and a Twin Twister. They'll activate Abyss Dweller in the draw phase, we'll go into Pankratops and a Super Polymerization, and things are looking pretty good with our copy of Giant Ballpark. Unfortunately, when we go to attack, it becomes clear we are not going to be able to clean up this board because we are not going to have access to a whole bunch of insects. As a result, we have to Twin Twist at end step everything but the Circle, but searching a second Gazelle is basically lights out for us. They draw into a Flame Buffalo, which means they'll be able to go into a Valinx and draw a couple of cards in the process. They'll go into a Sunlight Wolf, activate the hand effect of Gazelle, and I think I have seen enough of this one. See, now that was a little more what I was expecting. Our second match, our opponent has drawn Lady Debug. What's the point of putting it to 1 if they just get to draw it? Our hand is pretty good. We have a copy of Pot of Extravagance and an Ash Blossom, a hand trap we didn't have last game. We also have access to Giant Ballpark. Eventually. Our opponent's going first once again. They're going to start by normal summoning a copy of Lady Debug, but we have the response, and they have the Called by the Grave. Well, let's see how far they can get. They're going to get a copy of Spinny to hand before activating the effect of Valinx, and triggering the Spinny on said Valinx, special summoning a Gazelle from hand. They're going to set a Roar to the graveyard before going into a Mirage Stalio, getting a Jack Jaguar from deck, and Link summoning a Sunlight Wolf. They will bring back the Jack Jaguar, returning this copy of Gazelle to the hand, then Reincarnation summon a Sunlight Wolf, adding back this copy of Roar because they don't have a better target, and then passing. We do have the Twin Twister, which prompts the Roar. That allows us in main phase 1 to activate Pot of Extravagance, free of charge. Ooh, we draw a Super Polymerization, so we'll go for that. Then activate the effect of Violet Chimera. Our opponent is going to activate the effect of Gazelle, sending a copy of Falco. Falco is going to reset Roar. We will normal summon a Mathematician, sending a Goki Pole, activate its effect to destroy the Mirage Stalio, and go to battle phase. Shockingly, it looks like we've actually dealt lethal damage. Alright, so that was basically a once-in-a-lifetime OTK. There's no way we can replicate it in this game, especially not with his hand. To the untrained eye, this might look fine. We have Giant Ballpark, a way to find a second one, Ash Blossom, and a couple of insects, but of course, any Twin Twister plus a way to stop Metaverse shuts us completely out of the park. More importantly, our opponent has wizened to our tricks and is making us go first. We're going to, I don't know, set Ballpark, set Goki Pole, set Metaverse, and pass. Oh god. They're going to lead with a Twin Twister. We'll activate Metaverse. They will Ash Blossom after discarding an Ash Blossom for Twin Twisters. This hand has everything. Gazelle, Called, 2 Ash Blossoms, and Twin Twister. They're going to send a Spinny to graveyard, and now we have to endure this. They'll go into a Mirage Stalio to get a Jack Jaguar from deck before going into a Sunlight Wolf, using Mirage Stalio's effect to bounce Goki Pole, then special summoning the Jack Jaguar back, adding Gazelle to hand, and getting in for 3,600 points of damage. Things are looking great, and then we rip a copy of Pankratops off the top. We'll special summon the Pankratops, normal summon the copy of Goki Pole, go for the damage step destruction. We'll go into a Neobug because, of course, Insect Knight has just a little bit too much attack to destroy either of their monsters. Our opponent draws return. It's another DD Crow, thank God for that. They'll activate Gazelle's effect, sending a Roar. We will pop it with Pankratops, and it looks like they don't have a follow-up. Wait, we are 2 combat steps away from actually winning this game. We just need them to fade the exact card off the top of their deck, and it is... oh my god, we did it. So we're back with the deck, and oh god. I was kind of prepared for a no-hitter, but we've done a pretty good impression of a capable deck. I don't usually get there with Neo-Bug Beatdown, but I'm not about to look a gift insect in the pincer. Let's do the pros and cons. First, the pros. 1. This deck operates on a level that Tier 1 strategies aren't prepared to interact with. GBP activates in the damage step, all the monsters are normal, there's immense space for hand traps and answers to metagame threats, and simply put, effect negation isn't exactly well poised to squash Gokibor. 2. It's consistent. Konami, in their infinite wisdom, have bestowed upon us about 45 million ways to find field spells, and even metaversing this one is great since it stops damage. And 3, it's an OTK deck that gets to play Super Poly. Do I need to tell you more? And the cons. 1. These games aren't exactly indicative of its overall power level. I think we kind of sacked out on the Game 3 draw. In reality, I would not expect this to consistently outpace any meta strategy, and likely no Tier 2 strategies either. 2. A lot of the power of this specific deck is concentrated in super polymerization. A couple of those games are just examples of why it's probably not okay that this card is at 2, not justifications for playing Ballpark. And 3, it has absolutely no ability to close out games. Contrary to popular belief, 1900 times 3 is not 8000, and if your opponent is allowed to get to their turn, prepare to be exterminated. All in all, it's an exceptionally interesting strategy that gets to play some of the worst cards ever printed, and truthfully, who can ask for more than that? So that's that. I love that Konami keeps pushing vanilla support. Don't worry, friends, someday you'll break 'em. A special thanks to all of my patrons, but specifically Colin Whalen, Michael Salmior, Adrian Bra, and Distrin. While I've never mispronounced anything in my life, please let me know if I've messed up any of your names. If you want to see me play the decks I make on this show on stream, I'm on twitch.tv/mbtygo every Monday from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll see you next time.